Well, welcome. We are so happy to have you here today. We are the downtown Sandusky Cedar Point Historical Museum. Our goal is to be the repository of all things related to Cedar Point. And so we have thousands and thousands of items that are all related to Cedar Point and its history. 50 years ago, I started collecting Cedar Point postcards, and then it became Cedar Point pennants, and then it became everything Cedar Point. And I created in my home a huge Cedar Point collection. And then, as fate would have it, Cedar Point announced that they were closing their town hall museum that was located in Frontier Town. And so I thought to myself, I should take what I have and open a Cedar Point museum. Almost every day, someone is showing up at the ticket booth out in front or coming in and dropping off Cedar Point items. One of the questions I get a lot is what are the highlights of the museum? And that is probably the single toughest question for me to answer. As I said, we have almost 30 different display cases now, and I have 4 or 5 or 6 highlights in every single display case. We've also recently added all of the park maps from Cedar Point. So they have those big park maps starting in 1969 through this year, and we have those on display now. In the olden days, when people came to Cedar Point, they didn't all wear if a company had a picnic at Cedar Point, they didn't all wear the same t-shirt like they do today. They all got a ribbon from that company. And we have a great number of these company ribbons, the oldest of which is from 1893. One of the display cases is from the 1930s. And when I was growing up in my dining room, there was a picture of my mother and my uncle, and my mother had to be 7, 8 years old, sitting on a carousel horse at Cedar Point. And now I am very proud of the fact that that's part of our display here. For years, when Cedar Point opened a new coaster, they gave out a medallion to the first riders. And those medallions are very unique and became real collector's items. And we have the medallions for every single coaster up until Siren's Curse. But 8 years ago now, they opened a coaster named Valraven. And the first 1,000 people that rode Valraven not only got the first rider memorabilia, but they got a cookie. And 999 people ate their cookie. I did not. So as part of our display, I still have that 8-year-old Valraven cookie, which so far there's not one person out there that said, I have that cookie. Cedar Point continues to cooperate with us. Last year, at the end of the season, 2024, they closed a very popular water ride called Snake River Falls. And so we were looking for a photo op that we could have here in the museum where somebody could have their picture taken with a Cedar Point memory. And Cedar Point designed a big backdrop for us. They delivered to us a boat that was formerly part of the Snake River Falls ride. They cut off the front of it, and now we have it standing there, and our visitors can stand behind that boat, put their arms up in the air, and look like they're splashing down on that fun Snake River Falls ride that was formerly at Cedar Point. And Cedar Point's been such a part of me. It's in my heart. It's not just a place, it's an emotion. And so my favorite thing about this museum is just the joy. And you can see by today, we have volunteers. And if you're a Cedar Point lover, you're welcome to volunteer to be here and share in this experience. But we have volunteers that show up not because they have to, but because they want to, because they love sharing the stories, love hearing about the memorable events in people's lives that happen when they come in. And so it is a true love story, not just for the people and their families, but for the people and Cedar Point.